Hello, I am here today with Tammy Arlene, the author of Coming Home. Welcome, Tammy.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
First, I want to talk with you about you as a writer. Tell me, does writing exhaust you or energize you?
Well, it does a little bit of both. It depends. When I'm writing and I'm really into the story, it energizes me. When the story gets personal and the characters hit close to home, it can be exhausting, but fulfilling at the same time.
Right, right. Okay, can you tell me what was an early experience when you came to understand that language has power?
Oh, I was an early reader, probably kindergarten, first grade. And I used to pick up books and read them. And I was a shy girl and painfully shy, actually. And I could pick up a book and travel anywhere I wanted to go. I could read a story and be anyone I wanted to be or anyone that was portrayed in the story. If I didn't like a story, I could put it away. I could pick up a different one. And um, I think that that's what enhanced my childhood and created this lifelong love of books and words.
Awesome. You really like being able to travel away from where reality was.
Yes, and when I was in high school, I wrote my first actual serious piece, and I won the American Legion contest. And my
Wow.
English teacher said that I should look into becoming an author, and I didn't because I was afraid and I didn't think I was good enough. So I joined the Marine Corps instead.
That's a leap.
Yeah, a little bit. I ran the opposite way, but the
Right.
writing caught up with me.
Well, before we go any further, let me thank you for your service.
Oh,
I,
you're welcome.
Anybody that's got the nerve to go through boot camp and stick with it, man, you're awesome.
It's not all that bad. It's mainly up here.
Sure. As is anything in our life, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Is there an author that you truly admire?
Oh, I have several. If I go real deep, I think of the Apostle Paul. But as far as authors that I know personally, I admire Trisha Goyer. Um, she's written over 70 books. She is a phenomenal person. I grew up with her, actually. She was a
Wow.
mom and a natural mother of three. She has adopted seven children, I believe six of which came from the foster system, troubled children. And she just has a heart for God, a heart for writing, and she keeps going on and putting out these wonderful books and encouraging women. And she takes care of her grandmother also, and she wrote all the way and launched a book all the way through her grandmother having a broken back. So it inspires me to know that this, uh, if we're called to do something, God provides a way for us.
Right.
And she shows
Wow.
a shining example of that in the family, the way she loves her readers, and just the way she lives.
Right. Right. I think I've read a couple of her books. I might have to revisit some of those. 70. I got a lot of work to do. So, what kind of research do you do, or did you have to do for your book?
The only research I did for my book was there's a scene where there's a fire, and I did talk to local fire department. I live kind of rural here in northern Arizona, so I talked to a fire inspector about um, what a fire looks like when it's arson versus just a natural fire, and how the burn patterns are, just so that I could have that paragraph or two just right.
Very good. Okay. Tell us what you edited out of Coming Home.
Oh, well, I edited out me, which was the hardest part. Writing the book, a lot of my emotions came in, a lot of which I did keep, but some of it I took out because it wasn't relative to the story of Victoria, which is the story I really wanted to tell. I left out a lot of the really sensitive aspects of domestic violence, and focused more on the recovery. But I had to write all that out to know what my character.
That was probably therapeutic for you too.
It was. It really was.
Yeah. Okay. So Tammy, what does literary success look like for you?
Well, it's different, I think, for every writer, but for me, it means that I meet someone that's read a book that I've written, and they've said that it touched them, or think about something different. My book, I talk about the planting of a small seed, and that small seed can change a life, change a whole mindset. And I recently had a reader that I donated the book to give me that response and say, I'm encouraged to plant that, to take that one seed and use it to move forward in my life in a positive way. So that's success. That's bigger to me than any best-selling list or any chart award that I could get.
Awesome. That does feel so good, doesn't it? When they come back and say, "Oh, it was meant for me." Yeah, I love that. All right, so on that note, let's turn and talk specifically about coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Share with me briefly the backstory behind it.
Okay, well, the story, I touch on the lives of three women, two more directly than the third. It is a three-book series. This is book one. The book is primarily about Victoria, and she is a woman who has a life history of a pattern of domestic violence. It started in childhood, and then it advanced through three marriages. She's getting ready to return to an abusive husband, and she picks up a Bible in a hotel bedside table, those Gideon's Bibles that picked up several times. She reads a verse, and I'm not going to give away too much, but she reads a verse, and it literally plants a seed, and she decides not to maintain that pattern. Not to say that she has a perfect life after that, but she makes a big choice at that moment, and it's the first time she's ever made a choice for herself, and God was there with her. She wasn't alone, and she made a choice to improve her life and do something that was very scary and turn it into a success.
Wow. So
the other character, Madison, is a victim of sexual violence, and we touch on her a little bit, and she's encouraged by meeting Victoria to start to make changes, and we'll see that in book two.
awesome. Awesome. So Victoria is based on you?
Yes. Except
Okay.
I've been married 5 times, so I did have to edit a little bit out, but the seed that was planted in me is the same seed that was planted in Victoria, and the same seed that can be planted in any woman who wants to change her life.
Wow. So what happened? What made it to where you just absolutely had to write this book?
Well, I've always wanted to write, but I was busy with a career and family, and I got very ill. I had a pancreatic mass, a large mass, underwent a Whipple surgery. It was discovered that it was a very large aneurysm on my portal vein in my pancreas. So my lifespan was supposed to be cut short, and I had always dreamt to write a book, write books. Actually, I wanted to be prolific like my friend Trisha, and I never had. And when you're given a expiration date on your life, a potential one, you realize what's really important. And I think that's what spurred me on to get busy to write my book. And in the process, God healed me, and I'm forever blessed for that. I'm healthy. I'm, growing more healthy every day.
Wow.
It took me 6 months from the time that I decided to write the book, and I had little scraps of paper and notes and things. I have probably 14 to 18 other books and scraps and things lying around here too. But it took me 6 months from start to launch to get the book finished, because it was basically written. God had already written it on my heart. I just had to put it into the keyboard and massage it a little bit with editing and get a cover put on it, wrap it up with a bow, and present it to God. And I've donated my proceeds from my book. It's 1 year old yesterday, to charitable organizations as well as my church.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, so and we established that Victoria's based on you, and you explain her feelings and the actions of what goes on in a domestic victim, a victim of domestic abuse. Those come from personal experiences.
They do, and I've been amazed. A lot talked to who have experienced the same type of trauma have the same emotions. It's like a sisterhood, and it's a silent sisterhood, because a lot of these women that I meet are successful. You would never know that they experienced something like that, but they still have those same, the catchword now is triggers. They still have those patterns that they have to be aware of and break in order not to that situation. It's so easy. It's
Right.
so easy.
Been there. I guess my trigger, the thing that gets to me the most, is when somebody talks down to me. So I understand that completely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is a series, right?
It is. It is. I'm excited. I'm just finished my day job, so I'll be focused more on writing.
Awesome.
Going forward, 3 should come out quicker than that. 6 months. If I get going on them, it should take me less than 6 months to write them, because they're all written in my heart. They just need to be put into the computer, and the covers are done. So that part's done. The wrapping is on. The package just needs to be filled. That's all.
Wow. So we can look for those really soon.
Probably in 2020, I would say both of them, by the end of 2020.
Wow. So what are the names of those?
Book 2 is Home, and book 3 is Making a Home. Book 2 is about Madison and her overcoming sexual trauma, and she has to go through some things about her past, and she ends up becoming a little bit of a hero, and God uses her in amazing ways. Book 3 is Making a Home, and it's about Hillary. She's briefly introduced in book 1, and she's overcoming self-image issues and murders and things like that. I can honestly say that all 3 of these women I can relate to personally.
Wow.
It's easy for me to tell their story, and hard at the same time.
Sure. Sure. That's pretty cool. Okay. So what do you hope that your book achieves in the lives of your readers?
Well, the whole intent, I think, of fiction books is to transport the reader from there into a story. That's what it always did for me. And I'm hoping to show an example of how our lives can get better, and just plant that one little seed and comfort someone, take them out of their current situation, put a pause button on that, give them a 4.5-hour read. That's what it was on Audible, book 1, just a short read to comfort them, and it might plant just 1 or 2 little seeds that they can take to move forward in their life in a positive way.
Awesome. You know, I hope that those who read your books do get that seed, but I hope that not only that they see themselves in one or more of your characters and realize that there is hope.
Mm-hmm.
There is hope for getting out of where they're at, for moving forward away from that, and for getting to a place of peace and trust, and knowing that they are enough.
That is exactly right. And actually, that's interesting you brought up the hope, because I wasn't planning on talking about it. But I'm working on a Bible study called Planting Hope After Trauma.
Aha.
I've just
I
been
said, we
playing.
didn't even plan that.
Oh yeah, I did. It was hanging on my wall, my whiteboard.
Right.
Something that I'm working on, and that's really my intention in life. That's my purpose. I feel like I on life, and I want to use it well, and I want to help plant that little seed, plant hope after trauma. And even if a person reading my book hasn't experienced any of these traumas that I described, they'll know someone who has, and maybe be able to offer them a word of kindness or a little seed, or maybe a little Bible or a verse, or a fortune cookie with a verse in it. I don't know how across, but I think that even if we haven't experienced these traumas, we know someone who has.
Right. Right. Well, Tammy, I thank you so much for coming and visiting with me today and sharing all this about your book. I don't know anybody who would watch this and not want to read it.
Oh, thank you, Faye. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate all you do. And I'm reading your book and can't wait for your book too to come out.
Awesome. That's December 10th is when it releases.
Okay, I'm putting it on my calendar right here. I'm over it too.
Awesome. Hey, thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.